Good morning, and welcome to the Journey with Janie podcast. I'm your host, Jane Anderson. I'm the founder of Journey with Janie, as you all know. For my regular listeners and viewers, I'm back in Corbridge at my weekly support Grief to Growth network group. So this morning, I'm just wanting to highlight some of the things that has been brought to mind for me this week. Any of you who follow me on social media will know that I posted this earlier in the week, but I just wanted to give a bit more info and maybe feelings and guidance as to how I've kind of worked through this week. And apologies for the traffic going backwards and forwards. Corbridge is a bustling little town in Northumberland, beautiful to visit. And I have the pleasure of being at the Angel Inn again this morning here on a Wednesday. I wanted to start today with a surprising stat, which is the one that I shared on socials. And that is, did you know that 35% of gym members quit within just 3 months? Sticking to vows, it turns out, is about as tough as sticking to the treadmill. Why am I sharing this? Well, like I mentioned on my post on Monday would have been my 25th wedding anniversary, and only around 35% of marriages make it to that milestone. Now, although I'm no longer married in a legal sense, as I am a widow, I am still celebrating. I did celebrate on Monday because the 25 years that I shared with my husband, Jonathan, are still mine. They were real. It was meaningful, and they are worth honouring. And the love still exists. My journey with grief is what led me here in Corbridge today to run the support group and to the work that I now do. And I think one of the things that has come to mind over the past maybe week or so is that grief isn't only about bereavement. It can show up after the loss of a pet, the end of a relationship, retirement from a job that you may have been in for a long period of time, losing a job even, being made redundant, that kind of thing. Or even, which is linked into my feelings around Jonathan's death, is even the life we thought we'd have. So not necessarily the bereavement side of things, but actually the life that I thought I was going to have as I reached my retirement and moved on in life. And yet, this is what I find, having done more digging and more growth with me, we often don't realise that what we're actually feeling is grief. We try to look for another label, other explanations, stress, burnout, fatigue. But beneath it all, grief has been the root cause of the feelings that we have. Like I mentioned, I think possibly in one of my Bermuda podcasts that I did, I thought I'd done a lot of deep work on grief, on the grief that I had with the loss of, Jonathan's death, my mum's death in that short period of time. But then as I delved deeper, I did find that there was other things that needed work on as well. So what I'm trying to say is what I've learned, both personally and professionally, as I build Journey with Janie to help guide others, is that grief doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be witnessed. it needs space. And from that space, new meaning can gently begin to grow. So as we grow, our grief gets smaller. And I'm hoping that kind of makes sense, so that it's almost like, you start off with a golf ball in a teacup and there's not much space for the golf ball to move around. But then as we start to grow, then the golf ball moves into a half pint glass, and then into a pint glass, and then the golf ball goes into a bucket. So that's kind of an analogy of how, as we grow, the grief gets smaller. The grief's still there. It never goes. It's always going to be there. But we grow around it. And as we grow bigger, the grief feels smaller. So from that, I'm just going to briefly go into what I kind of do with clients, because I have babbled the past few podcasts that I've done, and I feel as though I need to give you guys that are my regular listenings something to kind of give you an idea of what grief to growth looks like for my clients. So people who work with me on the grief to growth process, I have 5 kind of steps that I start with. And they're not rules, they're not fixed, because everybody's different. Grief is unique and it's bespoke to each and every person. So it's small ways, small, simple steps to actually find that person you were before, or find a new version of that person, which is basically what I did. So I'm just going to quick go through these. So one of the main ones for me is pause with compassion. So give yourself permission to stop and breathe, and just simply be, which is what I've explained to you in the past, where give yourself permission to sit down for 10 minutes with a cup of coffee and just listen to some music. Give yourself permission to take the dog for an extra long walk, and that kind of thing. Naming what matters now. So any kind of loss or grief that we're going through reshapes who we are as a person. And for me, I found that my values shifted. So one of the questions that I'd like you to ask you today is, what still feels true for you today? And get a bit of paper and just write it out. Writing is powerful, the power of the pen, as I call it. So step 3, I haven't really called the others step 1, 2, have I? But never mind. Find one tiny act of self-care that you can do on a daily basis. Make it a daily habit, a daily discipline. It doesn't need to be huge. It can be making the point of drinking more water on a daily basis. Taking a walk. You may not have been walking as regularly as you used to. Or sending a friend a message. Just small, simple things of self-care and care for other people. Next step, let meaning emerge. Now, I like this one. Meaning isn't a silver lining, and it can't be forced. So I've found that doing the grief educator training that I did gave me a more in-depth meaning as to why things had happened the way they did. And gave myself permission to give myself time and space and understand that there is meaning behind everything that happens to us in life. We're all had challenges to deal with so that we can grow and learn and be a better person maybe for it. And just to remember that whatever challenges we're sent them for a reason, and we wouldn't be sent them if we aren't able to find a solution. And then the final step is flip the page, but not a quick flick. Take time, and you're not, how can I put this? You're not closing the book on the love or your love or your grief. You're learning to live and grow around the grief and turn into the next chapter, all whilst carrying that love with you. And I think one of the quotes that a few people sent me over past 2.5 years, coming up for 3 years, is grief is love with nowhere to go. And that is a Jamie Anderson quote. So that kind of gives you an overview of how I've got to where I am with Journey with Janie. So the Grief to Growth mini program that I do is a guided one-to-one or group experience, no matter whatever people want, so they can rediscover purpose after a loss. It's not about moving on, it's about moving forward with love and meaning. And the other signature Journey with Janie is the quiet field. This is where I guide people back into stillness and reconnection with their body and with nature. Nature is our healer, or has been my healer. Getting out in nature, feeling the grass on your feet, hugging a tree. I know people will laugh at this. And if somebody had told me this 2.5 years ago, that I would be sat here talking about these things, I would have laughed as well. And just want people to know that there is so much out there that can help us as people living in this fast world of we must do this, we must do that. Such and such says I must do it that way. Such and such says I must do it this way. When actually we do it our way. And it's the quiet field is space and time, a safe space. I hold a space and it can be guided, whatever. For those people who are feeling overwhelmed and just need to stop. And it's almost like giving yourself permission to have the space to restore yourself and breathe again and just reevaluate where you are in life. And all I can say is clients that have worked with me over the past few months have often left feeling lighter, more present and clearer about what matters most. Not because they've been fixed, because we don't fix, because they've been supported and guided and given the guidance, the hand-holding, the small, simple steps to make that flip of the page, that slow flip, and build on what they've learned. So I hope that's kind of given you some food for thought, shall we say. And so wherever you are on your journey, I just want you to know this. Grief is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of love, and love never leaves us. So all I'm asking is if this resonates with you guys, and I know you've listened to me babble on the podcast, and I do it, because I love talking to people, and what I shared last week about being on the stage, that was great, is I'd love you all to take the next gentle step in whichever way that works for you. And I am happy, where the Book of Call link is on my website. It's also on the links in all the channels. Or if you're local to Corbridge, the Angel Inn in Corbridge, every Wednesday morning I'm there between 9:30 and 11:30 for an open drop-in session where we can have a chat. And just know you don't have to do this all alone. And thank you for listening to me today. Until next time, let's just remember there's something inside of you that knows no limits, and it's time to believe in you. Courage in the small steps and meaning in the journey ahead. So take care. Until next time. Ta-ta for now. Joining me on the Journey with Janie podcast. Always remember, there is something within you that knows no limits. It's time to believe in you. Click the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I love reading your reviews and comments, so right away. So, if you're ready to take those small steps to transform your true self, let's do life together.